Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat and another Christmas in July project. And for those who watched yesterday, these are the cards I made in the middle of making yesterday's card. Aha! So, I had a little bit of time whilst I was waiting for some glitter glue to dry, so this is what I decided to do with that time, was to make today's video. I have a theme today of a colour scheme and it was sand, copper and green. I just thought that those would be an interesting colour combination for a Christmas card. Didn't have a plan in mind as such. I planned all of the themes a while ago without necessarily thinking of exactly what I would do with them. So at this point, all I've done is I've gone and grabbed some green pattern paper from the stash and some sand coloured pattern paper from the stash. I actually think it's probably crumb cake, but it could be Sahara sand. I'm not quite sure. It's old Stampin' Up papers anyway. And I don't really know what I'm doing at this point. I've sort of decided I'm going to make 6x6 cards. There was definitely a request for 6x6 cards when I put out the request for what do people want to see on Christmas July. So I thought, well, let's do 6x6 today. So I've done two 5 3/4 background panels, and then I've just kind of cut the rest of it up into bits and pieces. And this is me just playing with the little leftovers. I don't like to waste stuff. And so I'm going to make some little panels, which at the time I thought I was going to use in the card, and then I totally and utterly don't. So these you may see at another point, I don't know. At the moment they're just still sat on the desk that I am recording this voiceover. But yeah, I do this quite often with little bits of pattern paper and with scraps of cardstock where there's these little offcuts, and I just feel like I can't waste them. So what I decide to do is cover another piece of scrap with some sellotape, some double-sided tape or some glue, and then I cover it with the little strips. So that's what I'm doing, and obviously this is all part of this video, but absolutely not part of the final projects. So I fiddle around for a little while after I've done these little strip things, trying to work out how to use them. But I don't manage to work out how to use them is the perfect answer. I just can't work out a layout that I like. And then I'm also then pondering, how am I going to pull the copper into this? And so you can see here I'm fiddling, I've cut some mounts, I've cut some layers, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. This is not for me. So I'm now having a little rummage through my basket of stuff. And I know I've got some some copper foils. So I've got sort of a metallic set of foils. And then I remember about this press plate that's got the joy in it. Now, I absolutely love this particular press plate, and I think, I could foil that, and I could foil it directly on. It doesn't quite fit some of the panels that I've made, but it's enough so I can still see that it says the word joy. So that's where I go with this. I've put this into quite a lot of fast forward. The reason being is I hadn't intended to use my foiling, my glimmer at this point, and it does take a while to warm up. So you've got it all on camera here, everything that I fiddle around doing. And I just do a bit of tidying up whilst I'm waiting for it to heat up. I'm listening to my audiobook whilst this is all going on. I keep going and testing that glitter glue that was on yesterday's card to see if it's dry or not. I get ready to do a second joy and a second lot of sentiments, and eventually it's warmed up. I've managed to get it on and I get my first one done. Now I will say it does come out a little bit sketchy, as in it's sort of not quite perfect in terms of the foiling, but it's absolutely fine for me in terms of what it looks like. I think it's perfectly good. You can see there, but it's a tiny bit patchy in places. And I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I really love it. It's the first time I've used that particular colour of the foil, and I love that too. So at this point, I'm super duper happy. Forget all of that fiddling around I was doing with all of the strips earlier. I'm really, really happy with how these are coming together. So we're on to almost the putting it together. They're fairly similar cards. I don't drastically change them, but they are slightly different layouts. So this one has got the two kind of green strips either side of the panel of the sort of the is it gingham? Is it check? I don't plaid or what? I don't know. And then it's got the reindeer on the sort of the base one. This one's got the little green sentiment that I foiled at the same time. That just, oh, is it to you and yours? I actually can't read it from here, apologies. But that's just got a tiny sentiment, and all I do is take some little strips of scrap cardstock and stack them underneath them. This one, I decide to just mount it onto that little bit of the gingham as a mount. So there's not much in the way of the sand on this one, I will admit. You know, not a huge amount of sand. I did also put it down slightly wonky on the first go, so I had to go and change that. And this one I had foiled onto the white, the sentiment, and I think it says this Christmas season. It just took me a little while to get this cut straight so that it was at the right angle. And then I'm just going to add that one directly onto the card. I don't add any dimension to that one. So I'm really happy with these, but I do feel like it needs something else. You know me, I'm not very good at keeping things plain or simple. So I took the Merriest Moments stamps, just the holly leaves. And I took my Mossy Meadow, a scrap of white cardstock, and stamped them, all 3 of the holly leaves at once. And I did that twice, so I've got 6 leaves in total, so 3 for each of the cards. So I'm not going completely over the top. They are just some leaves. I do end up doing a berries for one of them, but just the leaves for the first one. So I know that there are dies that cut these out, but firstly I couldn't be bothered with the lining them all up, etc. And I know these are so easy to just fussy cut. And you know, I was quite happy and chilled in my craft room, listening to my audiobook and just getting on with this. So I wasn't really bothered that I was fussy cutting these when I knew that there was a die available. I thought this was just going to be easy and just a little bit more relaxed. I think sometimes when you are die cutting shapes, unless you follow the technique where you die cut a whole load of them and then you slot them into a stamp positioner and then you're stamping over and over again, but you know it's going to be in the right position. I think that's the easiest way to use those sorts of dies, because otherwise I tend to just have them move or I have to fiddle around with tape, etc. So I just think sometimes getting your scissors out and having a little fussy cut of 6 leaves is not exactly laborious. It's not difficult, is it? So for that green one, the one with green base, I have just added the 3 on directly. And for these, I've got them slightly tucked underneath the sentiment. And this is where I decide, I probably do need to do something about berries for that green one. But I'm going to let it dry for a little while first. So I've just gone and got my card blanks. The card blanks are actually 6x6, but they're not 6x6. The envelopes are 6x6. The cards are just a tiny bit smaller than that. So my 5 3/4 inch panels are almost the same size. So on this one, I do just trim it down just by a tiny little bit. You can see those little tiny slithers that are coming off. Definitely not slithers I'm going to start layering up onto a tag or anything along those lines, but they're just tiny little slithers I've taken off just to give it a little bit of a space. And so I take the berries from the same stamp set and I stamp them with the Versamark. First I was going to do Versafine, and then I was like, no, I'm going to do it Versamark. And then I've got this sort of rust embossing powder. It's Baked Impressions embossing powder from Seth Apter. I don't think that they make it anymore, but I know he does a range with Wow embossing powder. And I just thought this will probably work with the coppery sandy feeling. So they're actually a little bit furry with a tiny glimmer of metallic to them. They don't come out clearly and they don't come out brilliantly textured, but it's just enough to add that in without adding an extra colour in, if you know what I mean. I thought it was just enough in keeping with either the copper or the sand that it kept with my colour scheme. And that, dear friends, is me done. Seriously, just not normal. So the thing that took the most amount of time was waiting for the glimmer to warm up. The rest of it, and the fiddling with the panels that I don't end up using, the stripy panels. So yeah, actually really simple cards, and I just love that copper joy. I think it looks amazing. It's so up my street. I just love it. I hope you loved it too. Please do give me a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. I am at day 14 now, and so I'm almost halfway through the month, so there's at least half a month's worth to go. However, for now, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye bye.